Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we're kicking things off with President Donald Trump paying tribute at Arlington National Cemetery on Memorial Day. He laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier and saluted during taps, showing respect for fallen soldiers, even as he threw some fiery social media jabs at Biden and judges. Quite the start to a day of remembrance. Next up, the drama heats up in Ukraine and Russia. Russia launched its biggest drone attack yet, firing over 355 drones and 9 missiles at Ukraine, causing chaos and raising alarms worldwide. Trump called Putin crazy for the attack and criticized his actions, while the conflict continues to escalate with air raid sirens ringing across Ukraine for 3 nights straight. Finally, King Charles is making his first official trip to Canada, aiming to strengthen ties and celebrate diversity. Meanwhile, US-Canada relations are a bit tense, especially with Trump's wild idea of making Canada the 51st state. And in the UK, Russian denials swirl over arson attacks linked to Prime Minister Starmer's properties. That's all for today's quick rundown. Please continue to watch for more detailed coverage. BBC reports that President Donald Trump, along with Vice President J.D. Vance and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, participated in a solemn Memorial Day ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery. Standing beside the tomb of the unknown soldier, they paid tribute to the fallen heroes who sacrificed their lives for the nation. Trump laid a wreath at the tomb, paused in reflection, and saluted as taps played, a tradition that underscores the deep respect and gratitude owed to those who served. This poignant act of remembrance was a stark contrast to Trump's earlier social media outburst, where he launched a fiery attack on President Joe Biden, accusing him of undermining the country through radical left policies and criticizing federal judges who opposed his immigration efforts. Despite the political rhetoric, the ceremony itself was a powerful reminder of the solemn purpose of Memorial Day, honoring the brave souls who gave everything for their country. The Toronto Star emphasizes that Trump's day started with a provocative tone, as he posted an all-caps message on social media attacking Biden and federal judges, calling them scum and USA-hating judges, respectively. He expressed hope that the Supreme Court and compassionate judges would intervene to save the nation from what he described as destructive decisions. Interestingly, Trump also prematurely celebrated Memorial Day with a Happy Memorial Day message, which is generally considered inappropriate given the day's somber significance. Nonetheless, at Arlington, he demonstrated reverence through the traditional wreath-laying ceremony, standing silently by the tomb of the unknown soldier and observing the solemn rituals that honor America's fallen warriors, an act that stood in stark contrast to his earlier social media tirades and highlighted the complex interplay between his public persona and the nation's collective remembrance. The Independent reports that amid Russia's relentless drone and missile assaults on Ukraine, which marked the most severe barrage since the invasion began, Donald Trump publicly labeled Vladimir Putin as crazy, criticizing his escalation of attacks. Trump's comments, posted on Truth Social, suggested that Putin's actions could lead to Russia's downfall and indicated he was contemplating harsher sanctions against Moscow. Despite Trump's vocal disapproval, there has been no concrete move from the U.S. government to escalate sanctions, and the Kremlin downplayed Trump's remarks, claiming everyone was overwhelmed by emotions and thanking him for purported peace efforts that Moscow continues to block. Ukrainian President Zelensky condemned Russia's aggression, asserting that Putin's disdain for diplomacy requires increased sanctions and a halt to Russian oil trade. Zelensky also criticized Trump for failing to exert genuine pressure on Putin, lamenting the lack of progress in peace negotiations, which have historically been ineffective, with hopes for a quick resolution fading amid ongoing aerial assaults. Deutsche Welle highlights the ongoing chaos in Ukraine, where air raid sirens have sounded for 3 consecutive nights due to continued Russian airstrikes, prompting widespread alarm and civilian displacement. Trump's frustration with Putin's relentless attacks was evident, with the former U.S. president expressing annoyance at Moscow's aggressive tactics. The situation underscores the fragile state of diplomacy, as international leaders like French President Macron and Germany's foreign minister condemned Russia's actions as an affront to efforts for peace. Macron pointed out that Putin's claims of readiness for peace are lies, while Germany emphasized that Russia's refusal to cease hostilities is unacceptable. Ukrainian opposition figure Kira Rudik criticized Trump's approach of maintaining negotiations with Putin, asserting that it has achieved little, and urged the U.S. to adopt a strategy of peace through strength. Meanwhile, Trump also criticized Zelensky for his recent statements, accusing him of undermining efforts by publicly blaming the U.S. for encouraging Russian aggression, further complicating the international response to the ongoing conflict. The Toronto Star vividly describes the relentless escalation of Russia's drone warfare against Ukraine, with the recent attack marking the largest in the ongoing conflict. Over 3 consecutive nights, Ukraine faced a barrage of nearly 900 drones, including 355 on Sunday night alone, alongside missile strikes, as Russia's campaign intensifies amidst a slow, costly push along the front line. Ukrainian President Zelensky condemns these attacks as politically motivated, asserting that Russia's sense of impunity fuels its relentless escalation, while Kyiv continues to develop advanced drone capabilities and seek support from allies. Meanwhile, Russia claims to have shot down over 100 Ukrainian drones over its territory, including near Moscow, highlighting the expanding scope of this aerial conflict. The drone warfare, bolstered by Iranian-made Shahid drones and Russia's own manufacturing, underscores a new, cost-effective dimension of modern warfare that is reshaping the battlefield and complicating peace efforts. CNN reports on King Charles III's impactful visit to Canada, a symbolic gesture amid tensions with the United States over Trump's provocative claims of making Canada the 51st state. The two-day trip will see Charles deliver a speech at Parliament and celebrate Canada's cultural diversity, reaffirming the country's sovereignty in a context where U.S. President Trump's repeated, unpopular assertions threaten to blur diplomatic lines. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and envoy Ralph Goodale emphasize that Canada's independence remains non-negotiable, with the King's visit serving to reinforce this message. The visit is carefully calibrated, balancing the desire to strengthen ties with the UK and the need to navigate the delicate political landscape involving Trump's influence and Britain's broader diplomatic ambitions. Buckingham Palace describes the trip as impactful, underscoring its significance in solidifying Canada's national identity and sovereignty amidst international tensions. The Associated Press details the Kremlin's dismissive response to recent arson attacks linked to UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's former residence, with Russia denying involvement amid accusations of a broader pattern of covert sabotage. Despite investigations into fires that damaged properties connected to Starmer, Russian officials, including spokesman Dmitry Peskov, dismissed suspicions as baseless, mocking Western fears of Russian interference. However, Western intelligence agencies have long attributed similar acts, cyber attacks, propaganda, sabotage, and arson, to Russia or its proxies, aiming to destabilize support for Ukraine and sow discord in Europe. The attacks on Starmer's former home involve Ukrainian nationals charged with conspiracy to commit arson, but no official evidence links Moscow directly. These incidents exemplify the ongoing covert struggle, where Russia's covert operations continue to threaten Western stability, even as official denials persist. The Independent reports that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was met with a hostile crowd at WWE's Saturday night's main event in Tampa, where he was booed and heckled with chants of "You suck" as he appeared ringside. Once seen as a promising contender for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, DeSantis had initially garnered strong conservative support through his assertive leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic, even earning the nickname "DeFuture" from the New York Post. However, his campaign faltered as he struggled to connect with voters during primary season, ultimately suspending his bid just days before the New Hampshire primary and endorsing Donald Trump amid a wave of mockery from the former president. Political analysts now describe DeSantis as having lost his political charisma and influence, with some suggesting he is no longer able to push his agenda effectively. As he approaches the end of his second term as governor, with his departure from office scheduled for January 2027, President Biden has already begun backing Florida Representative Byron Donalds as a potential successor. The recent incident at WWE underscores DeSantis's diminished stature among both the public and within Republican circles, where his autocratic governing style is viewed as a liability that has cost him allies and popularity. The Independent reports that this summer, Americans will face the highest air conditioning costs in 12 years, potentially breaking records due to soaring electricity prices and increased demand driven by climate change. As temperatures rise and humidity intensifies, power bills are expected to average $784, a 6.2% increase from last year, with inflation-adjusted costs rising by 4.2%. The number of days requiring cooling has surged over the past 5 decades, leading to prolonged heat waves and power outages with deadly outcomes. The highest costs are forecasted for the Northeast, South Central, and South Atlantic regions, with the nation bracing for a particularly hot summer across the West, Florida, and the Northeast. The price hike is attributed to electricity costs outpacing inflation and persistent heat waves, disproportionately affecting low-income families, nearly 20% of whom lack air conditioning, facing an energy burden nearly 3 times higher than wealthier households. The situation is dire for many, especially as federal aid programs for cooling assistance have been cut, leaving 33 states without protections against utility shutoffs during extreme heat, risking heatstroke and death for vulnerable populations, with over 700 deaths annually linked to extreme heat. Meanwhile, unpaid energy bills have risen sharply, with consumers owing over $24 billion by March 2023, highlighting the growing financial strain on American households amid rising temperatures. The Independent reports that House Speaker Mike Johnson dismisses concerns over Donald Trump's alleged corruption, claiming that everything Trump does is transparent and out in the open, contrasting him with Joe Biden. Johnson defends Trump's recent private dinner with top investors in his meme coin, Dollar Trump, at his Virginia golf club, asserting it was a private event and that Trump has nothing to hide, despite the lack of transparency about the guest list and ethical concerns raised by lawmakers. Johnson also criticizes the Biden crime family, questioning whether access to Biden can be bought through his son, Hunter Biden, even after a House Republican report found no evidence of wrongdoing. The White House defends Trump's private event as personal, but critics worry about potential undue influence from wealthy investors. Johnson's repeated assertions of Trump's transparency and his dismissive attitude toward the ethical implications highlight a broader partisan divide, with Johnson emphasizing that Trump's actions are above reproach while sidestepping questions about potential conflicts of interest. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Great dragon wakes ancient streets, leading change with modern beats. Cities rise and towers peak, new dawn breaking, bold and sleek. From the Great Wall to Shanghai, progress moves as kites fly high. Tech and trade, it's all to play, future shines brighter every day. Great dragon roars, change the cars, marching strong with mighty force. Whoa. New era, new wave, fast-paced day, history made in bold display. Politicians make their plea, voices blend in harmony. Policies for growth and peace, ambitions never cease. Dreams of silk and digital, bridging gaps from old to new. Fortunes build and bonds renew, nations strengthen, bold review. Traditions hold, but minds explore. East meets west and knowledge door. Complex world they navigate, China's power demonstrates. From the Great Wall to Shanghai, progress moves as kites fly high. Tech and trade, it's all the play, future shines brighter every day. Great dragon roars, change the course, marching strong with mighty force. New era, new way, fast-paced day, history made in bold display. Politicians make their plea, voices blend in harmony. Policies for growth and peace, ambitions their growth and peace. New era, new way, fast-paced day, history made in bold display. History made in bold display. Politicians make their plea, voices blend in harmony. Policies for growth and peace, ambitions never cease. Dreams of silk and digital, bridging gaps from old to new. Fortunes build and bonds renew, nations strengthen, bold review. Traditions hold but minds explore, east meets west and knowledge door.